Today we're going to be installing a full headliner on my 2023 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392.
Now, if you have a modern Jeep Wrangler just like this, then you probably agree with me that these things probably should have came with a better headliner. Now, in my case, I actually don't have a headliner at all on the inside here. If you take a look up here at the roof, you can see it just has this exposed fiberglass look, which in my opinion looks a little bit cheap, and it also does not deaden sound whatsoever. It kind of feels like you're just riding inside of a big shipping container here. If you look here in the back, we can see the same thing on the roof here. So, you know, just that cheap exposed fiberglass look. And then same thing for the trunk area as well. And I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it definitely feels like my voice is really echoey inside here. Jeep actually does have a factory Mopar headliner option that you can get from the factory with these Wranglers. And I actually did want to get that, but unfortunately they were out of stock whenever I actually placed the order for my 392 here. Now, one downside with the factory headliner is that it doesn't actually cover the full roof or the full ceiling. It only covers part of the actual panels. So there still would be a lot of that white cheap fiberglass exposed, and that's definitely not what I was looking for. So luckily, Coverking actually makes a full headliner option for the Wrangler. So that's what I actually ended up getting right here. So I got this headliner kit for $400 on summitracing.com. I believe on the actual Coverking website, this thing goes for like $460 plus like $100 shipping. So, you know, obviously Summit Racing had a cheaper price for the actual product, but it was also free shipping. So I just decided to go ahead and order it off of Summit Racing. Like I mentioned, the Coverking headliner does cover every single part of the ceiling here. So literally every single white part of that cheap fiberglass will be covered, including around the rear windows here as well. So of course we are going to have to remove the entire top, so the front two freedom panels, as well as the back portion of the top here as well. This kit actually came with a bunch of 3M adhesive tape, which is what we're going to use to actually attach the headliner to the ceiling. So here's all that 3M adhesive. It just came in a little like cardboard thing here. And then we also did get a little tool pack as well as some weather stripping as well. Here's a little toolkit that it came with. Of course, we do have a flathead screwdriver and 3 Allen wrenches as well with Torx bits here as well. And then we also do have this little weather stripping that's used for the rear portion of the roof. And it goes, I believe, around the doors and around the top portion of the rear section of the roof here. Just in case anybody is interested, here's the part number. So it's made by Coverking, and it is the SPC680. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start off by laying out the headliner and just seeing what it looks like. So here we have the headliner all laid out how it's supposed to go into the Jeep. So we have the 2 front freedom panels right here. And as you can see, it does have all the cutout holes for where the latches go. And we also do have it molded to actually like match what the freedom panel is like. So we have all of the creases and cuts here as well. So it should fit perfectly. Then right here for the back one, you can see we also do have the cutouts for around the rear windows right here. Of course, we do have these pre-cut holes for where the screws go in to actually hold down the roof. And now that we have everything laid out here and we know kind of what we're doing, I'm gonna go ahead and start off by removing the front 2 freedom panels. In order to remove the 2 front freedom panels here, we do need to remove the driver's side first. So all right, so we're sitting here on the driver's side. Like I said, we do need to have the visor folded down, which we already do. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the 3 latches first. So we got one right there, one right there, third one right there. Then we just have to undo this latch just like that. And we should just be able to lift this right off. So let's go ahead and step out, and then we can lift this freedom panel off. And then we can hop in the passenger side and do the same exact thing. So of course, fold down the visor, undo the latch, second latch, and third latch. Then we just want to undo this one right here. Now we can step out and remove the passenger side freedom top. So now that we have the 2 freedom panels off here, we're gonna go ahead and actually prep them to put the headliner on. So first thing we need to do here is actually remove the 3 latches. So right over here, the ones that turned. The main latch here, we're gonna leave that one on. So we're just gonna use this supplied Allen wrench that came with the kit and just go ahead and remove these. Right, so I believe all these latches are actually the same, but I'm just going to leave them where they came out of just so I put them back in the same positions that they were originally, so just to not mess anything up. And now we can do the same thing for the other panel here. So here's what all the adhesive pieces look like here. Now I was supposed to receive an included diagram for where the adhesive strips actually go, but I didn't actually receive that. Luckily, Coverking does have an installation tutorial on YouTube, so I just did a quick watch on that to figure out where the adhesive strips need to go, and I have them put out here where they had them in the video, so hopefully this is correct. So you have this one big piece right here, a few strips on top and bottom, 2 right here on the side, and then 1 right here on the side as well. So obviously, same exact thing for the other panel. And then it's also a good idea to wipe down the areas that are gonna have the adhesive strips with alcohol. So I'm just gonna go ahead and wipe those down real quick. So now that we have everything laid out here and rubbed down with rubbing alcohol, I'm going to go ahead and remove the clear backing tape here from the adhesive strips and just stick them into place here. So we'll go ahead and start with this one. That's nice and easy, just in case we mess anything up. All right, so we got the first one on here. Just you want to make sure it's nice and even and that all parts of it are actually sticking to the fiberglass here. All right, that should be good. Now we can go ahead and move on. Now for this one that's going to go on the very edge, you want to put the actual edge of the adhesive strip right along the paint here. Gonna try to do that as best as I can, just like that. Alright, then we can stick it down little by little because this one does have a crease. You don't want to do the whole thing at a time, just go little by little sticking it down. There we go. Now with this big piece here, I'm actually just gonna cut it to make it a little bit easier to stick it on. So I'm just gonna cut it right over here. So we know this one goes right there. And then I'm gonna cut the same right here. All right, so that should just make it a little bit easier to actually stick it on. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and do the big piece here in the middle. So of course you do wanna make sure that you press it into this little crease right here, just to make sure it's fully adhered to the surface. All right, so we have all the adhesive strips stuck onto one side. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side. So now that we have all the adhesive stuck on here, we're gonna go ahead and actually test fit the headliners and see how they fit. So of course, as I told you guys in the beginning, we do have pre-cut holes for everything here. So we'll see how it fits over everything. I think so far it looks pretty good. Don't really see anything that's missing. And we have a nice pre-cut hole here for this main latch as well. So that all looks good right there. All right, so we're ready to actually install the headliner here. So we're gonna go one adhesive strip at a time, starting with the center one. So just gonna lift this headliner up here and peel back the paper backing of this middle adhesive without ripping off the actual adhesive, hopefully. So as you can see, it is ripping off a little bit of the actual adhesive there, but it's not too bad, just mostly in the middle. And I can rip off the adhesive here as well. All right, so now we just want to lay this down in position, make sure everything's good. All right, now we can press it down into place. Make sure everything is fitting good here. And I'm just going to press down on it for about a minute here just to make sure it fully sticks onto it. And then we can move on to the next adhesive strip. I think that should be good actually. Now I'm going to move on to this strip right over here. All right, just want to make sure we line it up good. Okay. I think that's pretty good right there. Obviously, you want to make sure that the holes are aligned as well. And now we're just going to keep moving around the headliner. All right, so I see that should be pretty good right there. I think it turned out pretty well. As you guys can see, the fitment is pretty good as well. We don't have any kind of alignment issues where the holes are. This one right here is good as well. And the edges here are pretty clear. You can see it lines up pretty good. Has a nice cutout here for the main latch as well. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. All right, so we have the headliner installed here on the Freedom panels. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these little turn latches back on. All right, so we got the turn latches back on. And as you guys saw, I did take a before picture just so I would know which orientation the latches were supposed to go. So definitely a good idea just to be sure. All right, so now we're ready to go ahead and remove the full roof. So along with that, we are also going to be removing the rear window here as well. So first step is going to be to take off this little trim piece in order to remove the little harness that's in here. All right, so I did have to use this flathead screwdriver as well as this little push pin removal tool. Now we just want to disconnect this wiring harness. All right, so I was struggling with that for a good amount of time there, but as you guys saw, it is pretty easy to disconnect. So I was trying to push on this little pin right here, but it turns out you just have to push on this part right here, and then it should just slide right out just like that. Next thing we're gonna do here is remove this washer line from the rear window. And you should just be able to twist it right off just like that. It should just come right out. All right, there we go. And now we're gonna also remove this defroster plug here. So we're gonna take this little line out of the holder, and then I believe this should just pop right off, just like that. And now we're gonna remove the trim from the passenger side here. So gonna use the same method. Gonna try to get the flathead screwdriver under there, and then use the trim removal tool to get it off all the way. All right, there we go. And now we're just gonna fully remove these two wires from this actual trim piece. Just like that. Next thing we're gonna do here is remove these little window supports for the rear window. So in order to remove this, we're actually gonna have to use a flathead screwdriver, put it right in there, and I believe it should just come out, I think. All right, so that worked. Now we can take this off, and now you definitely wanna be careful because this will just fall right down since it's obviously not supported by anything. So the next step is going to be to remove these 10mm bolts. So there's 2 on each side, 2 right there, 2 right there. Now for this part, you definitely do want to have a second person just to hold up the window, because as soon as you take off these bolts, then the window is going to be completely free. So now that we have the rear window taken off, we can go ahead and remove this washer line as well as this main harness right here. So all you gotta do to remove that is just hit this little silver button right here and it should just slide right off. And then in order to remove this main harness here, you want to slide this red tab down. Then you want to actually push on it while you pull it out of the harness. So just like that. So I believe every Wrangler actually comes with a little toolkit that includes the Torx bit and a little ratchet wrench here. And this is used to actually remove the screws for the hardtop. So there's 8 total Torx screws that we need to remove, 3 on the inside and then 2 on the top. So first one we're going to remove is just this one right on top. So you're going to use this little Torx bit here and just screw this out just like that. And now we're going to do the same thing for the driver's side. Now we're back on the inside of the Jeep here. We have 6 more, 3 on each side. And one nice thing about Jeeps here is that they do have little like storage holes here for the screws in the trunk area. So we can just put those right there so we don't lose them. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, so as you guys saw, we did get the roof off, and now it's time to actually install the headliner for the rear portion of the roof. So of course it's going to be the same process that we did for the front 2 Freedom panels, except here it's just a larger actual portion of the headliner. So it's going to take some more time, going to take some more preparation, and I'm going to have to be a little bit more careful as well because we are working with a larger piece of fabric. So it's just going to be a little bit more difficult here. First step here is going to be to remove these 2 rubber bumpers. So one right here, one right here. Should just be able to pull these right out, I think. All right, there we go. We got one out. All right, so it was a little bit easier once I used this little push pin removal tool. And now we just need to remove this little housing that covers the harness and the wash line. So it should just be able to pull straight out on it. All right, just like that. And now we just want to remove this little washer hose. So we want to remove it right after this 90-degree turn right here. So just like this, just need to twist and pull just like that. In order to take this wiring harness out of this little housing, it would make it a lot easier with a flathead screwdriver. So all you need to do, take the screwdriver, place it underneath this black tab, lift up a little bit, then you want to pull the actual wire harness out, and then you should be able to push it back through the housing and then take it all the way out. So I'm just going to put the flathead screwdriver right under that tab, and then pull the harness out. And we should be able to feed it back through the housing right here. And then it comes right out just like that. All right, so now we're just gonna go ahead and lay out all the adhesive strips onto the actual hardtop here and just see where they go. All right, guys, so I got all the adhesive strips stuck to the top here. So just in case your kit did not come with a diagram just like mine, here's the adhesive strip orientation that I came up with here. Take a look at that right there. So now we are ready to actually put the headliner onto the top here. I'm actually going to put these wires and hoses into the actual like top here just so they don't mess up the fit of the headliner. Same thing with that. Then we also tucked in this wiring harness right there as well. See how it fits here. All right, so just like with the Freedom panels, we're going to do one section at a time. So we're actually going to fold back the front here so we can remove the adhesive strips. So I'm first going to remove these 5 right here. Then I'll fold it down, make sure it fits good, make sure all the holes are in the right place. Then we'll go ahead and take off the remaining 3 adhesive strips right here and secure the rest of the front. All right, so everything looks like it's pretty much aligned here. You can see the hole right there. Same thing right there for those 2 bumpers. So now I'm going to go ahead and remove the remaining 3 adhesive strips from the front. All right, I'd say that's pretty good. And you guys might also notice that these corners here are kind of sticking out. And that's actually what the weather stripping is for. So it actually goes along this whole edge right here. And that actually secures the edge of the headliner to the actual roof right here. So next we're actually going to fold back the rear section of the headliner here. And we're going to do this section in the middle right here. And now we can go ahead and do the other side of the window. All right, so there we go. We have the full headliner installed and stuck on with the adhesive. Now that we're done sticking on the actual headliner to the roof, we can move on to the actual weather stripping. So the kit came with 3 total strips of weather stripping, 2 short and 1 long. 2 short ones are going to go along the edges of the door, so right over here, right over here. And the long one is going to go on the edge of the front of the hardtop right there. So I got one side done already. As you can see, the weather stripping right there. And it does hold in the actual fabric of the headliner right here, as you can see, so it's not really sticking out. So you can see this side kind of is sticking out. It's a little bit bare right there. And I did find it easier just to spread it apart a little bit just so it could actually fit the headliner and the actual hardtop right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side here of the door. Then I'll also put the long piece right over here on the roof. And you most likely will have just a little bit of weather stripping left over once you install it. So if you do, you can just cut it off just like this. So we're all finished up with the weather stripping. So like I said, we have the two short ones going around the edges of the doors. Same right there. Then the long one goes right here on the front. One thing I did notice is that these weather strips have like a little tab on the left side here, as you can see. If you look at the roof, it does have an indent right there. So you want to make sure that this little tab goes inside that little indent. So it would look just like this. And that way it stays on there. Now we can go ahead and reinstall those rubber bumpers and those two holes right here and right here. And to put these back in, I did notice that it is easier to use the flathead screwdriver. So once it's down in the hole, you just want to press like down on it just like that into this little indent right here. So you just want to be pushing down like that. Now we want to reattach the harness to the trim. So just the opposite of how we took it out. Thread it back in through here, and then you want it to kind of snap back into place. That should be good. Now we can reattach this little washer hose. Now we can put this actual trim piece back into the hardtop. Should just snap right into place. All right, I'm gonna call that good. All right, so now that we got the roof completely attached, we're gonna go ahead and put the rear window on. So we got the window attached. Now next up is to attach these little support beams here. So we're just going to open up the window, stick those in there right there, and then we just want to put in these little tabs back into their place. So we got these little rings put back on these supports here, and this was pretty difficult. It took probably like half an hour just to get these things on here. We ended up just like spreading them apart with pliers and kind of forcing them on there. Now I'm not sure if I just did it incorrectly. I don't know if these rings were actually supposed to come off or if I was just supposed to like pry them just a little bit just to get these off. But that's just how I did it. I don't know if they're actually supposed to come off or not though. And now we can go ahead and take these wires and the hose back out of the top here. Now we can run them back through this little trim piece. And now we can reattach the washer hose. Just like that, and then we can also reattach this defroster wire. Then put it back into this little holder, just like that. Now we can go back to the driver's side here. We can take out this wiring harness, plug it back in. Just like that. Then we can put it back inside the top there and reinstall this trim piece. So I'm having some trouble putting this trim piece back in. It just doesn't want to stay. I've noticed that these tabs were kind of pushed inwards. So what I did was just kind of pry them outward a little bit to give them like more traction to actually have something to like attach onto. So we'll see if that works. I ended up getting it on there. It's not super tight, but it's the best that I could do. Now we are going to reinstall the washer line and the main harness. Here we go. Then once it clicks into place, you just want to make sure you push that red tab up just like that. And now we can go ahead and screw in the 8 Torx bolts that hold down the roof. Now with the top all bolted down, we can go ahead and install the 2 front freedom panels. So of course, the passenger side is going to go first. So now we just need to do the 3 latches here, one there. One right there. And third one back here. Then we can do this main latch and pull the visor up. That's all finished up. Now we can do the driver's side.
After 10 hours of work, the headliner is finally complete. Let me show you guys what it looks like on the inside.
So taking a look at the front here with the freedom panels, Definitely looks a whole lot better, a lot cleaner, a lot better than that white plain fiberglass look. Definitely think it should have came with this kind of headliner from the factory, especially for the top trim 392. So got a good look right there at how it turned out. Everything on the front turned out pretty good. No issues with alignment. I don't know if you guys can actually pick this up on camera, but there's actually no kind of echo in my voice. So before, like I was mentioning, it did kind of sound like you were in like a shipping container, I guess. That's how much echo there was in here. So now there's definitely a lot less. And it's definitely going to be a lot more insulated as well. So taking a look at the second row here, of course, it does look a whole lot better. Definitely cleaned up the look of the interior by a lot. And of course, it matches the leather seats here as well, a lot better. And then right here is what the weather stripping looks like on the doors. So definitely looks a whole lot better. Has a very good kind of finished look to it here, so you don't just have the exposed headliner right there. So definitely glad that they included this weather stripping here as well. So of course we have this on both sides, as well as the front of the removable hardtop here as well. Then in the trunk area here, of course, looks a whole lot better once again. Now, I do think that around the windows could have been a little bit better, because once I screwed in these torque screws for the roof, it kind of got like wrinkled up a little bit, kind of bowed out in some places. So not a huge deal, not super noticeable. I think the worst area is just right over here, so I think they should have included some more adhesive strips to place on like the outer portion of the trunk here. I think that definitely would have cleaned it up a lot better. So I think in the future I will go ahead and just purchase some more adhesive strips just to glue this section of the headliner down a little bit so it's not sticking out like that. Overall, I think everything was pretty accurate. They even had cutouts for the rear window supports here as well, so it goes right around this little metal part. Of course, here on top we also do have cutouts for these trim pieces as well. And you guys know I was having some trouble putting this one in, and it kind of became loose again. So looking at the driver's side here where the screws go in to hold down the roof, you can see another area where the headliner kind of bows out there once I put the screws in. Right there as well. And then right here you can get another view of where the headliner meets the edge of the trunk. It's pretty noticeable that you can see it's not actually stuck on there with adhesive. So like I said, I probably will go ahead and buy some more adhesive strips just to stick this portion like actually onto the hardtop.
Hope you guys enjoyed that installation tutorial on the Coverking headliner for my 2023 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392. If you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to drop those down below, and thanks for watching.